All right, so here today with Tom Muhlbeier, who is I met actually through the CrossFit Games. He was competing with my dad in that the Masters division, the upper echelon of athletes there. These guys are the real deal. You know, they don't have all that youthful just we can show up and work out kind of thing. These guys really have to put in the work day in and day out to keep showing up, which is so impressive to me. And one of the super interesting things about Tom is that beyond what we're going to talk about is the fact that he's one of 7 brothers, no sisters. And he was just mentioning to me that actually all his siblings are still alive, and the oldest he said is 80 right now.
Yes.
About 80. That is pretty amazing. Because Tom, how old are you?
I am 67.
67, yeah. And if you go online and Google his name or put it into YouTube and see what he does, at the CrossFit Games, you'll find out, man, what in the world? This guy is going to kick my butt if I show up in the gym with him. So, Tom, what was kind of some of your backstory of how you got into, because you've been to the CrossFit Games 5 times?
5 times, yes.
5 as a master's athlete. And what kind of got you into because Tom is a CrossFit Games athlete, master's athlete, but he's also it's not like he was just some professional athlete and this is what he's done all his life. He worked a real job, had a real family, and you're still married, I believe.
Yep.
Many years too. How many years you guys been married?
Oh gosh, put me on the spot here. I think 46.
46 years. Nice.
Yeah.
That's
to
fine.
To the same person.
Yeah, that's living right there. That's that full life I'm talking about. So yeah, what kind of got you into the whole fitness space, Tom?
Well, I was kind of a high school athlete. I did football and baseball and all kind of all of the high school sports. I wrestled and that kind of thing, and then was really into football. Loved football. Wanted to play college football, and went and played 1 year of college ball, and then the school that I went to was a private school, and they didn't offer scholarships, and so finances were really tight. Big family. My dad was a farmer, and at that time the farming industry wasn't doing that well, and basically I ran out of money and had to leave college and went back home and went to a community college and just kind of finished up a little bit of training there and then went to work. But throughout all of those years, I was kind of an athlete, being the 6th out of seven boys, and on the farm, we worked. I mean, we had to work every day. That was just part of the process. You got up in the morning, you went out, even before school, you went out and you had stuff that you did before you cleaned up and got on the bus and went to school. And then during the summers, when we were working, and at lunchtime, we'd all quit, come in for lunch at the same time. And after lunch, we'd get the baseball bat out or the football out and throw it around and just do that kind of stuff. And so athletics was just kind of a part of my life. And after I had graduated high school and then left college, there was kind of a void there. So I started playing the recreational sports, softball and different things. And did that. Of course, the career kind of took off, got really busy. With the job that I had was ag oriented, and so there was a lot of hours needed particularly during the growing season, the summer months and whatnot. And so even the recreational sports kind of had to take a back seat. I mean, not really a back seat; they just went away. I didn't have time to participate in them. And so there was a period of time in there, quite a period of time in there, where I wasn't doing anything other than working. And at one point, I had some issues where I had chronic sinus infections and things like that, and went to a doctor that I called him a granola cruncher, which was, no offense, but I called him a granola cruncher, and he looked at me and he says, you're really healthy. The only thing that's wrong with you is these sinus infections, and they keep recurring. He says, you need to try a low-fat diet and see what that helps. To see if that helps you. And I said, oh, come on, a low-fat diet? How's that going to help sinus infections? You're a nut. But I did. Lo and behold, the sinus infections went away, and I lost some weight. started feeling a little better, and so I think just my career had gotten to the point where I wasn't having to put in quite so much time, and so I started working out at a global gym, I call it here, and when I started doing that, I had a couple of years where I had kind of a training partner that would work out with me once in a while, and I'd have a partner that we would train for 4 or 5 weeks or something like that, and then they would start making excuses why they couldn't get to the gym, they couldn't do this, they couldn't, and I just felt like I was pulling these people along with me all the time. It wasn't really an equal partnership, and so I just decided, well, heck, I'll just keep doing it on my own and not worry about a partner. And so that's what I did. I started. There's a time when all the DVDs, the P90X, and another one was called Insanity, and just all of this DVDs. And so I would take I actually had a little TV that I carried into the gym with me. I would go into one of the back rooms there and plug the DVD or the DVR into the TV and do that stuff in the back room. And as time went by, some of the trainers at that gym would see me working out back there, and they'd say, "Well, do you mind if we worked out with you a couple of days a week or whatever?" I said, "Yeah, come on in." And we started doing that, and one of the trainers that did that the first time he came in and worked out with me, got all done, and I was kind of cleaning stuff up and putting it away. He walked over to the corner of the room and puked in the garbage can. It says, "Do you think I could do this with you again next week?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd be fine." So then, as time went by, a few months went by, and that guy who was training with me a little bit decided to open a CrossFit gym.
Oh, wow.
And I knew what CrossFit was, or I thought I knew what CrossFit was. And anyway, he got some investors, and they opened up this gym, and he just was on me all the time. "Hey, come over and do this with me, do this with me." And so it took a little while, but he got me over there. And at that time, I was doing a thing that was called tactics. It was kind of a mixed martial arts aerobic training kind of thing. And I said, "I'll come over to your gym under two conditions. One, you've got it." He was just building out this little spot in a strip mall. I said, "You got to put a shower in." I said, "Because I live 25 miles out of town. I don't want to have to come in the morning, work out, go back home, shower, and then come back and go to work." And said then the other thing is you have to do tactics. And so he says, "Okay, we'll have the 5:30 a.m. class will be a tactics class." And then he figured out a way to get a shower put in there. So I joined that gym and started working out there. And there was another person who was working out with me at that 5:30 a.m. class, and it kind of grew a little bit. And there were people that came and went. But anyway, the guy that owned the gym, he just kind of slowly started incorporating more and more CrossFit type workouts into this tactics program. And I can remember the first morning when I really kind of made a decision to do CrossFit. We'd finished this workout, which was pretty much all CrossFit, and I was kind of laying on the floor like you do, and looked over at this gal that was training with me, and says, "That was pretty much all CrossFit. Why don't we just do CrossFit?" But then he converted that over to CrossFit, and that's what we did. And that's kind of how I got started into CrossFit. But
Wow.
the health journey thing was just kind of an evolution. I was just athletically minded and needed to do something to feel good. And so as time went by, it evolved into CrossFit, and never really had any intention of competing in CrossFit.
Mm.
It wasn't
About when you did first end up, going to the games and that kind of thing.
the that at that same gym that was in that little strip mall where the CrossFit gym where the guys started. I remember one afternoon I went in there and was trying to get better at pull-ups, and I was working on pull-ups, and he came over and he says, "Hey, have you ever thought about competing in CrossFit?" And I looked at him and I says, "I'm not interested in competing." I says, "That would take all the fun out of it." And he says, well, you got to think about it. He says, I think you do pretty good at it. And it was a couple of weeks later, the open came up, and I didn't really know what the open was, but he says, yeah, it's these workouts, you do them, and then you put them up on this leaderboard and compare yourself to other people in your age group throughout the world. And so I said, yeah, okay, I'll give it a try. And I did it. And I didn't do that great. I mean, I did, better than average, but I think it took me probably 5 years or more before I really felt like I was competitive in
Mm.
CrossFit. I think if I can remember right, I think I started CrossFit in 2012, and it was 2017 was the first time I qualified for the CrossFit Games,
Wow.
and never really had that as a goal. I'm kind of an anomaly, I guess, in that a lot of people, they have this goal, man, I got to get to the CrossFit Games, I got to do this, and that's just like a lifelong goal for them to get there. And to me, it was more of I guess I'm more process driven than outcome driven. And so I just wanted to get better. I wanted to get better at the movements, the techniques. I wanted to meet the standards every time I did a movement. I wanted it to meet the standards. And so I just kind of just kept every day, literally for a while, every day, did something towards that end. And when I actually qualified for the games in 2017, I was surprised because I didn't think it wasn't a goal, and I was just doing the workouts. And you
Mm.
did the open and did the qualifier, and then lo and behold, the leaderboard came out, and I was above the cut line to qualify for the games in 2017. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. That was kind of a neat trip.
Wow. Wow.
You know? So
So you're definitely at a much higher level of fitness than the average. You said 67, right? That's where you're at.
correct. Yeah.
7-year-old out there. I mean, do you feel like that helps the rest of your life? Is that or
Oh,
benefits beyond just going to the CrossFit Games, that kind of thing, competing?
without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. I live pretty much in the same community that I grew up in, and so I ran into a lot of the people that I went to school with, went to high school with, and even to college with, and it almost breaks my heart um, to see how unconditioned so many of them are.
Hmm.
Um, it just is. It's helped me. I mean, in a million ways. I mean, I get up in the morning and I don't hurt unless I've made myself hurt. I mean, I'm sore a lot, and I sore muscles because I still work hard
Yeah.
in the gym. Um, but I don't have the joint pain. I don't have the back injuries. I don't have any of that stuff. And I really think that it's a result of just being consistent, not, not, I see people that start a workout program and they work really hard at it for a little while, and then they get bored with it or they get tired or whatever, and then they take 6, 8 months off, and then they start again, and they do
Hmm.
it again, and then back, and they're in and out and in and out. And I really think that a part of my ability to stay fit is just the fact that I do something every day. I don't, I really don't take days off. I mean, on what I call a rest day, I'll sometimes on a rest day, I'll go swim, or I'll go, I'll walk 3 miles, or I'll, do something. But it's like, in fact, I've got a workout tracker that I just started using a while back, and it's given me all these accolades. It says I had I think it was 114 days every day that I have logged a workout of some kind in that tracker.
Wow.
Um, and it's just, to me, it's become a part of my lifestyle. It's become a habit.
Yeah, and you would say, I think a lot of people out there often have the excuse, or they permit themselves to have the excuse of there's not enough time to be fit. There's not enough time to get to the gym or to do something at home. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, you basically, though, CrossFit has become your experience, and I think it definitely it generally adds a lot more life and overall, I feel like enjoyment and reward response to the fitness endeavor. you were doing Insanity, you were doing P90X, you were doing DVDs, you were kind of just fitting it into your schedule before
Right.
you are you still working? You retired now or a little bit?
I retired 2 years ago.
You retired, okay.
Yeah.
So for the most part, even when you're doing the CrossFit, you were still working a full
Oh,
time and carrying on in a 45-year marriage.
yeah, yeah. In fact, I joked that I really had three jobs because I I had my regular job. I worked as an ag consultant, a farm consultant, and then I also had an orchard, an organic orchard that I operated pretty much by myself on the side. And then I also volunteered I went to Honduras numerous times, about 20, 25 times plus, as a director of a small nonprofit that we were working with at the time in Honduras. And the job that I had, the ag consulting job, it was no joke. I would be up at 4 o'clock in the morning and would work until 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, sometimes later. Then I would go out and get on the tractor and do the orchard work until 1 o'clock in the morning, then get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock the next day and do that all over again.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and in that time, I was still fitting in quick workouts during the growing season. Of course, during the off season, during the fall and the winter, it slowed down enough to where I could spend 2, 3 hours a day, at the gym or doing something like that. But I guess just being a farm kid or whatever, something in me is just it's I have to get up early. I can't sleep in. I just never sleep in. So I still get up at 4:30, and the first thing I do is I go out and work out. That's just the first thing I do. That way I don't. And when I was still working, had my career, my job, and all that. When I was still working, I would do that too because I wanted to do it first thing because I found that if I said, well, I'll work out in the afternoon, I never did it because there's always some excuse, something would come up. And so if I just get up in the morning, do it first thing, number one, I feel better throughout the day. I think it boosts my energy throughout the day. But I've got it done and I have that feeling of accomplishment right away
Yeah.
in the day. And that to me is important. It's just the feeling that I've accomplished something every day.
So were you actually you were doing the agricultural consulting, the orchard work, and the Honduras work, and was that within the span you were actually going to the CrossFit Games there? Those early years?
Yes,
Wow.
17, 18. I didn't, 2019, I was burned out. So I didn't even want to try for the games in 2019. So I didn't do the qualifier. I qualified to do it, but I didn't do it. So I took that year off. And then I think it was 2020 was COVID, wasn't it? And they didn't have the CrossFit Games. And then I've qualified 21, 22, and 23. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow, that's big time. And so those three endeavors, those you've retired from those now?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Mhm.
So what fills up your time outside of fitness these days?
CrossFit.
Uh,
I get up in the morning and still work out pretty much every day. And I've got some online clients that I coach, and so I do some of that. I've also got there are two gyms here in our community. I coach at two different gyms, just 3 days a week. So I feel I need to give back.
yeah, yeah. And for the person out there, say they're 55, they're 60, maybe they're 67, and fitness hasn't exactly been a part of their life journey. They played some sports in high school and then married, had kids, got a job, and now it's been 25 years of really not doing anything physically. What do you tell them, or what would you suggest would be a first step for them?
Walk into a CrossFit gym and tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them you've been inactive for a long time. You're 67 years old and you want to get healthy.
Yeah.
And if they say, okay, great, go over here and join this class with these young kids and do what they do, find another gym. So, but it's possible. One of the classes that I coach at one of the gyms is for um, we call them legends, the older people. I think the youngest person in that class is probably 65.
Wow.
Had an 80-year-old lady come in the other day that had fallen a few months back and broke her kneecap,
Mm.
and she has kind of recovered from that. And she walked in the other day and says, I'm back. She says, I need to get in shape. And well, here you go. You're in the right spot.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, but it's possible. Even older people, people say, "Well, gee, I'm old." All of the data, all those statistics say that from 35 on, it's downhill. You lose 7% of your muscle mass, every decade for the rest of your life. It's all downhill from there. Nah, that's not true. You can reverse those trends. You can absolutely reverse. And if you don't mind, I'll brag for just a minute. Okay, I
Oh.
I've kept track of my statistics, I guess my body, whatever you call it, body measurements and
Mm.
things like that. I found a printout several weeks ago. That's from 2014, so that's 10 years ago. And this is using the same machine, the same technology to measure all of this body stuff. And this was on July 26th of 2014. I was 185.5 pounds. January 13th of 2024, so that's 10 years later, basically, I'm up 0.4 pounds. I'm 185.9 pounds. Okay. My structural muscle mass in 2014 was 83.8 pounds. It's 92.2 pounds right now. That's up 8.4 pounds.
Mm.
My body fat mass, the amount of fat that's on my body, everybody has it. I was 34.8 pounds in 2014, 23.9 pounds right now. I'm down 10.9 pounds.
Come on.
And the body fat percentage was 19.1 in 2014. It was 12.8 in January.
That's
So
awesome.
those statistics and those studies that say that you have to lose body mass and you have to gain fat and all of that as you age, it's just not correct.
Come on.
It just is not correct.
Yeah,
So,
you literally you just reversed aging there. You just turned that clock backwards. That's amazing. And you didn't take any magic pills or potions
oh
or
no,
growth hormone or any of these kind of things.
no,
You're doing the real deal. And I think that's that consistency you were saying. You're just showing up over and over and over again.
yeah, consistency. It's all about consistency, and you don't have to be a CrossFit Games athlete. You
Right.
be a better grandpa, you know,
Mm-hmm.
a better dad or whatever, a
Yeah.
better mom. Be able to get up out of the chair without needing help.
Mm.
That's so huge.
Yeah.
And, and I just see so many people that I know they're going to be the people that are going to be in the assisted living.
Mm.
They're just they're complaining about, gosh, arthritis is bothering me. Oh, it's just age. I'm getting so old. Arthritis is bugging me. And well, yeah, that all comes into play. And yeah, I've got a little bit of arthritis here and a little bit of arthritis there, but whatever you can do to really reduce that inflammation in your body, I think you need to do it. And I really feel that uh, intense exercise will help reduce inflammation. I
Yeah.
have no data to back that up, but I think it does because I feel good. I'm an example of it, and I have several friends, friends all over the world that I've met in CrossFit that are my age that I compete with.
Mm.
Some of them have got some injuries, and some of them have had some joint replacements and things like that. Fortunate for me, I've had none of that. But the high percentage of those people that I'm acquainted with don't have those aches and pains and don't have those things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. I mean, it really is. It's hard to get up every day and do that and And the older you get, the harder it gets, because for some reason, I don't know, I call it the ambition level. It just goes down. And it's probably, even men, I think I call it menopause. I think men go through a hormonal change as they age too, just like women.
For
And
sure.
it's just, it's hard to make yourself do that. But it's, what hard do you want? Take your pick. Which hard do you want? I would rather have the hard where I get up every day and go out to the gym and do that, rather than the hard where it's hard to get up out of the chair to go take care of your daily activities.
Yeah. Wow. So
And that's
Tom,
really, oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to mention, wanted to bring up here because I think sometimes, you talk about, hey, Tom, yeah, his body's felt fine the whole time. He's working, so he gets out regularly, and it's no big deal. I have all these issues, and so I just can't do that. I can't get myself there. I think it would be good to mention, if you're cool with it, so you went to the CrossFit Games, 21, 22. And in 22 though, you were the number one seed in the 65 and older age bracket going in, but then something happened there, right?
Yes. Yes. I was really fortunate. I was having a good year. Came out of the semifinals, which was the stage before the CrossFit Games, in first place. So I was the number one seed going in. When after semifinals, you really have to kind of crank up the training and be, a little more conscious of what you're doing, and push a little harder, I guess. And was doing that. And then about 3 weeks before the CrossFit Games, I just started feeling crummy. I guess I didn't feel like I was recovering well. I was just thought, well, I'm overtrained. I'm just working too hard, and whatever. And so I backed off a little bit, and nothing changed. So what I ended up going to an urgent care, thinking that, well, it's probably just anxiety. I'm probably just anxious about the CrossFit Games coming up, and no pressure on being in first place and all of that. And that's probably, I just need to get a little help with this anxiety. Well, I got in there and was just about had the doctor ready to write the prescription for the anxiety meds. And she says, have you ever had a cardiogram, an echocardiogram, or an EKG? And I said, well, I don't think so. And she said, we're going to do one. So she hooked me up to the machine, and got all that taken care of. And she had found in their system, evidently I had one several years ago. And she found and compared them. And she says, you need to get over to the emergency room now. She says, I don't know what's going on, but there's a big difference between these two EKGs. So I got in the car and drove over to the emergency room, waited for 5 hours to see a doctor in the emergency room, talk about stress and anxiety. Anyway, they got in there and they looked things over, and had, knowing now, or if I'd have known then what I know now, I would have said, oh gosh, my chest hurts really bad and you need to admit me. But the emergency room doctor says, he says, you're in great shape. He says, you look like you're the kind of person that doesn't really want to spend time in the hospital. He says, just call this cardiologist. This was on a Sunday. He says, call this cardiologist tomorrow and get in and see them. And we want you to have a full cardiac workup. He says, do not compete. He says, whatever you do, do not compete until you get this full cardiac workup. So I did what he said, called the cardiologist the next day, and they says, well, we can't take you, we have to have a referral. And he said, well, the emergency room doctor said to call you. And they said, well, that's not a referral. You have to go to a cardiologist, or go to your family doctor first, then get a referral, and then come in. Anyway, we went through the whole process there, and it took 6 weeks before I got an appointment with a cardiologist. But anyway, because of that situation, I had to withdraw from the CrossFit Games. I went to the games thinking that, well, I'm going to just see how I feel when I get there, because it was too late. This was like 2 weeks before the games, and I couldn't withdraw and allow someone else to go. So I went there thinking, well, I'm going to just see how I feel when I get there, and maybe I will go ahead and compete. Well, I got there and I had a bad feeling. So I didn't. I withdrew from the games, which was a real heartbreak.
Wow.
But anyway, the end of the medical story is that there is an issue. It's an irregular heartbeat. It's not AFib, but it's I think they call it tachycardia or something like that. That does flare up occasionally, and I still feel it on occasion. I still feel it when I'm working out real hard, or sometimes in the middle of a workout, it'll just kind of go wonky, and I'll feel kind of funky with it. But I did get a second opinion from a different cardiologist, and he said when I walked into, or he walked into the exam room when I was there, he says, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Well," I told him the whole story, and he says, "What you've got is going to feel weird." He says, but it's probably not going to kill you." She says, "Do whatever you want to do." So that's what I did. And so then in 2023, I just got back into regular training routine, went back and qualified for the games in 2023 again. And I feel great. Yeah, every once in a while, like I feel a little bit, I don't know how to describe it, just kind of I guess just a heart rush or something like that. And then it goes away, and I just kind of push through it, and then it goes away.
That's awesome.
Just had a checkup, but about a month ago, and everything's great. All the blood work's good. Everything looks great.
So this now we're into this is 2024 when we're doing this, beginning 2024, this interview. You're looking to are you looking to basically compete this year and try to get back to the games?
Well, like I said, the games have never been a goal.
Sure.
So I'm just doing what I always do. We'll just see what happens. You know,
that's great.
If it works, it works. Had the first qualifying workout today, and it's tough, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to just keep plugging away and see what happens.
Nice.
And my goal, or if I call this a goal, it's just I want to compete, be active, and be healthy as long as I can.
Yeah.
My dream lifespan, I guess, would be to feel like I do right now until the day before I die.
Come on.
No,
that's great.
Yeah.
So do you have any inspirations or things outside of just is there anything that you want to do, and as far as why you'd want to be so productive and capable, say the next 20 years, 25 years, however long you're around? Do you have any particular aspirations there?
Yeah, I do. And that's, one thing that they always say is you got to have a why. And I've never really felt like I've had a defined why. But I've kind of been thinking a lot about that. I guess maybe as I get older, I get a little more philosophical and whatnot. And really my goal is to inspire other people to be healthy, to make fitness a habit. If you don't make it a habit, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's too easy to blow it off with say, "Oh, gee, got to go put gas in the car. I can't work out today." Stuff like that. It's so easy. That's so easy to blow that off. And some of the ways I think of doing that is you have to find something that you have fun doing. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't need to be CrossFit. It can be pickleball. I've taken up pickleball here in the last year and a half, and I love it. I have fun. It's kind of one of the things that I like to do with my wife, and she's better than I am at it, which isn't saying much, but she's way better than I am at it. But yeah, find something that you like to do, find somebody that you like to do it with, and do it often. I think is just the key.
Nice.
So I would just that's my gig right now, is to inspire people to get off the couch and get out and do something.
Man, Tom, you were definitely inspiring. I want to go work out right now. Chatting with you. All right, man, I so appreciate your time, and man, all the best in your fitness. And if it works out, you end it back to the CrossFit Games, man, I'll definitely be pulling for you.
Awesome.
Love watching your effort and just how you compete, and how you always do your reps full reps. So it's this beautiful thing.
Well, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.